Well, here we are. I am so grateful for being here in this community of complete sanity that I call joy. So today's talk was totally inspired by the reading for today. Specifically, as I spiritually awaken through prayer and meditation, I realize how grace is active in my everyday life. I experience profound gratitude, joy, and wonder as I see the results of God's guiding grace in my daily life. Wow. That's why we sang Amazing Grace to start with. It has some text that's just pretty incredible. And what I've realized is that everything about my being here today standing in this place is a testament to grace. Our song, I was blind, but now I see. There's another great quote in 1 Corinthians that I didn't realize was in 1 Corinthians, but I'm really grateful to find this out. And I'm reading from the Phillips version of the Bible, but I'm going to add a little King James in there because you'll go, oh, I know that quote. At present, we are looking at puzzling reflections in a mirror, or as King James says, through a glass darkly. But the time will come when we shall see reality whole and face to face. At present, all I know is a little fraction of the truth. But the time will come when I shall know it as fully as God knows me. Whoa. Right now I see through a glass darkly, but one of these days I'll see God as clearly as God sees me. So now I'm going to take off onto the sermon or talk. And I'm going to use that oral tradition that has been so popular since the beginning of time. And I'm going to tell you some personal stories of how grace affects me and how that understanding of now I see really works. So grace is not a word of God that I would walk into and say, yes, my life is grace. No, I would say my life is joy, my life is love, my life is peace, my life is all of these other things. But grace was not a quality of God that I really paid a lot of attention to. But you know, the song Amazing Grace, the line, through many dangers, toils, and snares I have already come. Yep. Yep, and I'm sure all of you have had those dangers, toils, and fears. Heartache, physical aches, relationships, finances, you name it. You could still be going through some of them. But here we are. We're here today. We've come to this community because we know there is something here that allows us to be more free, to be more loving, to be more filled with this thing called grace. Another poem that I love is the one about footprints in the sand. You know, the person's walking down the sand and flashings of lightning happen and he sees bits and pieces of his life flash by. And he looks back and he sees sometimes 2 sets of footprints and sometimes only one. And so, perhaps like you, this guy says, Lord, you said once that if I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I noticed that during the saddest, most horrible, troublesome times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you most, you would leave me. Not fair. I've been in those places when I've called to God to say, hello, where are you? But God whispered to this man, my precious child, I love you and will never leave you. Never, ever, during your trials and testing. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then I carried you. It still gives me tears. And I know I recognize those dark days. I recognize this prayer in so many ways. Financial upheaval, death, relationships, physical stuff that had me so afraid that I can't even tell you. But somehow, God was still carrying me, even though I might not have seen it at the moment. A lot of this became more clear to me when I took a workshop, 5-day workshop. This one was entitled, where is it? Living Your Life Purpose. Your life purpose? Now, I've taken these 5-day retreats before, so I knew the way it was going to go. 5-day intensive. One of those days would be in silence. We would do a meditation where we would find a quality of God that was speaking to us, and then we would expound upon it. We would get quotes, we would create a covenant, we would do all of these things. And it's like, okay, and this was a year ago, almost exactly a year ago today. So having gone through this kind of class before, and I know you don't believe this, being a shy person when it came to talking in front of people, I vowed to myself that if inside of me I was called to speak and say something, I was going to do it, whether I thought I was going to be stupid or not. But this time was going to be different than those other classes because I was going to be brave enough to speak. Whatever. And even ask questions. In most workshops, I was known as the silent one because I never asked a question. I let everyone else ask the questions. I would glean information from everybody else getting their answers. This time was going to be different. And the second way it was going to be different is that no matter where I was led in meditation and prayer, I was going to go there. I was not going to fight it. I'm going to go where I'm led. So those were my vows ahead of time. And since I was making these vows, I also decided to do my homework ahead of time. It's like, okay, I can meditate and take myself inside, and I can find that quality of God that speaks to me. And so I did. It was joy. So I found quotes, and I did all of this preparation work, like I'm going to be so prepared. Oh, yeah. First day of class in the afternoon, we do the first project, and this was important for me to share with you because it's called a God upgrade. You start on one side of the page and you write down all the things you used to think God was. God is love, God is compassion, God is this, God is silent. God is silent? So I didn't write anymore. I just looked at that. It's like, yeah, I did have this belief. I maybe still do have this belief. That, I'd just go, yo, Lord, where are you? And I wouldn't get an answer. So, okay. Well, then you do the upgrade, just like Microsoft. Things that work, you bring across. God is still love. God is still compassion. God is still, what else did I say? Peace. God is the voice I am. What? God is the voice I am? Where do I, this is my internal thing, where do I get off claiming that God is the voice I am? Excuse me? I don't think I'm that arrogant. I don't think I'm that. I had a meltdown. I admit it. I had a meltdown. How could that be true? Arrogant was never even a word that came up in my own vocabulary. I had to write it down 3 times so I could do this talk, because it's not a word I even like. How dare I think that God is the voice I am? So next we did a guided meditation. I'm still stewing about all this other stuff, but it's okay. So I'm doing this guided meditation. And Reverend Marcia Sutton, she takes us through a beautiful meditation. You're walking down a path, and it's as beautiful as you can make it in your mind. And you open a gate, and there before you are all of these pools of water. They're just pools of water. And each one of them have a little signpost by them. And you are directed through this beautiful meditation where you've asked your highest self to guide you. So you know it's not your little self guiding you, it's the God self guiding you. To choose your pool. I go, okay, where's joy? I'm going to go looking for joy. And I glance down to the right, and there's this little, like 3-foot round pool down there. And there's this word grace. I go, it's a little pool. Okay, good. Where's joy? Okay, I can't find joy. None of the other pools have words on them, just to let you know. So I'm searching the pools. Okay, I can't find joy. How about love? Where is love? And wherever I go, here's this little 3-foot pool following me around on the right. Okay, I promised myself I would go wherever God took me. Okay, so I go into this little tiny pool. Now I'm a big woman. I didn't think the pool was going to hold me. Why would I go into this? It's like, okay. So in my mind's eye, as I enter this little pool, this shallow little pool, suddenly it's bigger and wider and deeper and warmer. And pretty soon I can't even see the edges of it. Whoa. Okay. Now we're guided in our meditation that we see someone, something. And this someone or something is going to tell us what it is we need to release so that we can accept all the quality that this pool has to offer. Well, to be honest with you, I wasn't paying attention to Marcia at that moment. I was looking at this being, this woman dressed in blue with the most gorgeous golden light surrounding her, and this face that was so filled with compassion and love that I couldn't not stare at her. Wow. Wow. Oh, she's going to tell us something that we're supposed to let go of. Wow. Wow. So finally, the meditation's over and I don't want to leave. I now no longer want to leave this pool of grace. But I do, and I continue on the day. Now through the day I'm sort of battered and torn. In fact, through all of the week I was battered and torn. I spent most of the week crying, sometimes out of pain and suffering, and sometimes out of amazing clarity and beauty. So, have you guessed what it was that I got to release? I have to look it up again. I had to release my belief of arrogance. And I had to look at myself and see those places when I knew that I was being arrogant. And I started looking for quotes to create this thing that we're doing at the end of the week. And there were many quotes of grace. But I found one that really actually worked for me and continues to work for me. It's from 2 Corinthians. Paul is accused of arrogance. And he's on his walk. And he's talking to God saying, I've been accused of arrogance. I'm just here to teach your word. What am I supposed to do? And God answered him saying, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in your weakness. Paul then writes, most gladly therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities than the power of Christ, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. As I paraphrased it, the grace of the Lord is sufficient for me, for his strength is made perfect by my weakness. O Lord, let me be weak, that I might experience your grace. Allow me to be confused, so that I may understand your clarity. Let me feel pain, that I will understand healing. Now I fought this, even finding this wonderful thing. I fought it. Now think about it. How many times have you had that experience of pain, suffering, love lost, whatever, those things that we call negative? And sometimes we yell at God or we yell at ourselves. Or sometimes we yell at our precious friends, family, and pets. And so we fight it. We fight it. I'm supposed to be a loving person. I'm supposed to be this. How often do we surrender? To go, okay, God. So for me, one of my fearful times was the time when I could no longer walk. I said, okay, God, right now I can't walk. I can't feel my legs. I'm starting to not be able to feel my hands. I surrender. I surrender to you because there is nothing of myself that I can do. Nothing. 2 days later, I could stand on my feet. A week later, I could walk. You know, talk about miracles. But it was the surrendering to God's grace. God's grace making me whole. God's grace making you whole. God's grace. So I was, in those days that followed this arrogance and grace thing, I would let go of arrogance and shame and guilt and unworthiness. You name it, I fell to my knees, literally and figuratively. And I came to understand that God is the voice I am, that God speaks through me to will and to do that which ought to be done by me. Somehow, God chose to call me to a pulpit. Was that my life's ambition? No. But here I am. So as I said in the early prayer, somehow today, between the words and the music and the prayers and such, that you find that opening within yourself for whatever healing you require. Even if it's just because you have a hangnail, there's healing there. What I've learned is it's not a big thing we have to take to God. It's everything. Everything. A great visual is, write a letter to God and put it in His in basket and don't take it out. Because every time you take it out, He's going, where is it? Oh. The prayer requests. Put it in there, and as you put the prayer request in the box, let it go and allow God to serve you, to will and to do that which ought to be done by you. Amazing healings have happened in this very congregation. Yay! Thank God it's Lauren, right? I've never met Reverend Lauren. Lorena, sorry. I've never met her. But she's going to be speaking next week. That's a miracle. And what did she do? She let go. She let God. She allowed God's grace to fill her and take her through every step that she needs to take so that she can now be whole through grace. Grace is a mighty word, and I think I was afraid of it. I was afraid of the word grace because you can't touch it. You can sort of touch love. You can touch the people you love, the nature that you love. You can touch some things. You can express joy. How do you express grace? It's because it's that internal thing. It's that internal happening that takes you out of darkness into light. Going back to that whole voice, God is the voice I am. In the class, what I recognized, whenever I would sing, I was surrendering to God. I was letting God use my voice to sing. Most every time, I won't say everything, most every time I've been at this pulpit, is God, speak through me. Because I myself really can't do this. I think I'm learning a style, but it's you. It's you, God. So may the words of my heart and meditations of my mind be acceptable in God's sight. Trusting that some bit of truth can be passed on to you or to anyone who hears me or needs comforting or needs whatever. Allow me to be that servant of the Most High, that servant in grace, so that understanding will open the eyes of those who need it. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that sets my spirit free. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Not through a glass darkly, but face to face with God. Let's take a moment, go inside. If you're comfortable, just close your eyes. Knowing that right here and right now, we are each embraced by the loving arms of God. Allow yourself to feel that presence within you. And if you're a visual person, see yourself wrapped in absolute love. How precious, how luxurious, how warm and cozy that is to be surrounded by love. And if you're willing, I invite you to look back over your life just a little bit to find that one place that may have stood out today while I spoke. A place of darkness or sadness or pain or suffering, and just don't give into it. Just pause and look at it. Feel it, touch it, smell it, see who's around you. And while you're still in the situation, if you're willing, take a moment and just thank God for the situation. Just say, thank you, God, for this situation. For those feelings I had at that time. For any of the people who were involved. And I then invite you to scroll back to this very room. Gently. And look at your life right this very moment. Letting go of that past experience. Just see where you are today. The joy that you have today. The peace that you experience today. And if you still see or experience any of that old feeling, I invite you to put it in God's inbox. Say, God, I'm ready to let this go. I'm ready for your grace to heal me. I am ready to surrender. It's not about who's right or wrong, good or bad. It's about your surrendering. Allowing God's grace to be made strong by your weakness. Allowing your life to be made more whole, more complete, more balanced by letting go and letting God. I even suggest to you that sometimes when you're in great spirits, it's okay that there's one set of footprints. I am willing for God to carry me through all my days. Are you willing to let God carry you? I give great thanks for this time of reflection and gratitude, surrender, and certainly for this time of grace. Thank you, God. Now as you slowly bring yourself back to the room, you can leave your eyes closed or not. And I'm going to walk over to the other microphone and sing the song that has been brought to me by the Lord for you to witness. When I am down, and oh, my soul so weary, when troubles come, and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so impatiently. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I see eternity. Strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. And I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be.